crafters, welcome back to my channel, Margaret Knob Designs. I wanted to go through another design team project that I did with my Prima Farm Sweet Farm, and I made this really cute little box for cards or for gifts. So I'm not going to do a tutorial per se on the box itself, but I'm going to give you the measurements and show you how I made it and what is in the box, and just talk a little bit about it. So this is a shaker kit, shaker box I should say. I put a few too many shakers in there, but sometimes, you know, a girl just has to have a lot of buttons and jewels and gems. So I took part of the 6x6 paper pack from the Prima Farm Sweet Farm, and then this these items that are in the shaker kit itself is a part of the, I think it's Buttons Galore is the name. Yeah, here I have another pack of those. It's 28 Lilac Lane, but it's by Buttons Galore and More, and I got this at Country Craft Creations. And the flowers are the leftover flowers that I used on my cover from the mini album itself. And what I then embellished on top of here, I have a couple of the Prima gems that went along with the collection, and a small piece of the ephemera, and again the flowers up there. I put one of the cut-aparts inside here with a piece of the acetate on top. And when I put this together, I actually did my my shaker underneath my my lid, so it makes the lid a little bit more narrow that way. The only thing that I don't like about doing it this way is that sometimes my box gets caught on the sides around here, but otherwise it's perfect. It sits really nice and it looks really nice in there. So I went ahead and covered my whole box, and makes a really cute gift. And you can always do this if for a gift for somebody, and then tell them when they're done, you know, when they've used the cards up that are in the box, that you could make some more for them. So this is a design team project number 2, and then I did some cards to go along with the design team projects. Here, let me just pull those out, and I want to show you how I put this box together. You can see there's some of the paper in there as well, and I covered it all the way around. One of the things that I also did with this box is I made them so that 1/2 an inch was folded up under, and the reason for that is that makes the box a little bit sturdier and really makes a nice edge on top of the box. So I'll show you the plans for that in just a moment. The cards that I made, I used the Prima Farm Sweet Farm collection as well, and then I just pulled some envelopes out of my stash. So for this card, I used some of the ephemera pieces on the front, part of the collection from, actually this is one of the journaling cards that I ended up cutting down. And then in the back here, I used some of this Tim Holtz Craft Core card bases. Unfortunately, this is not available anymore, I don't think, but I've had it for years. So I just really am trying to use some of my items up. And so I put this together with a few of the gems from Prima, and then I just decorated a little bit inside with a strip and one of the ephemera pieces. That was one of those. And then this one is a darker brown, and I think it turned out really nice. It might even be good for a masculine card. Again, I use the Tim Holtz darker cardstock here with a piece of the pattern paper from the 6x6, and then I cut some of the Tim Holtz paper right there, a couple of the gems from Prima. This is one of the cardstock, not cardstock, but the cut-aparts, and then a couple of the ephemera pieces right there, just added to that. And then this is some Love from Lizzie peel-offs. I like to use them on my cards. And then I worked on this card. I thought it was really nice with all the nice bright, it's kind of a cranberry red. So piece of the ephemera here, a piece of the cut off some of the scraps. This was from the 6x6 as well. And then some of the other ephemera there. And I just backed that strip and here with a piece of the Tim Holtz cardstock. And then on the inside, made this very simple, just a strip of the paper with a piece of the ephemera. And last but not least, we have this card with our squirrels, well, actually our chipmunks, and used a couple of the gems, used some strips for across my card, also double matted here with the Tim Holtz paper. I like it because it's a stronger paper and it has kind of a rough edge to it, but working through that pad. This is a little bit brought up, and this is also brought up for some dimension on there, but this is flat down right onto here. And then on the inside of that, I just put a couple of flags to the inside, plenty of room for comments and sentiments. And those go back into our card box for our wonderful gift. And this box as a whole, I made it a little bit bigger. It fits well, but the box itself measures 4.5 by 5 3/4. So just a 1/4 of an inch larger than an A2 card. That's the size of that. So in order to make this box, I wrote down on a template exactly how I made this box. So the one thing that you're going to find is I did it on this one sheet, front and back. But I want you to look at the measurements and not necessarily just what this looks like here. So the bottom, you need to cut one piece of paper at 8.5 by 9 3/4. Your side on the box, the bottom of the box, is going to end up being 1.5 inches before you do any of the folding or scoring or anything. So the bottom is 8.5 by 9 3/4, and we're going to eventually end up with 1.5 inches side. So when you get your 8.5 and 9 3/4, you're going to go ahead and you're going to score 1/2 inch all the way around on all 4 sides. And then you're going to go and score at 2 inches around all sides. What that ends up giving you is 1.5 inches from here to here and 1/2 inch there. And then on this template, what you're going to cut is you're going to cut these 3 squares on each area. And what I do with this, with my tabs, is I would go ahead and I would cut into this tab and then just making you know, a small miter that's along in here so it doesn't stand out along in there. But I would cut this way, then I would turn it around and I would cut this way, and then I would turn this all the way around and I would cut this way, turn this around and cut this way. That way what happens is that my tabs on the sides go around and help to reinforce the box all the way around. So then once you're done cutting all of this and cutting even the tabs, you're going to go ahead and you're going to you're going to burnish along this 1/2 inch line, and you're going to glue that into the 1.5 inch section, so that what's going to happen is this is going to help make a nice edge to the top of your box. So this is all the way around. You're going to fold that 1/2 inch to the inside and glue it down. Now if you would like to, you can also miter on this side and miter on this side, and that'll help so that it won't get in the way of your corners. But you don't, it's not something that you have to do. It just helps to make it a little bit cleaner. So once these are all glued down and your sides are glued in, you can then go back and put your pattern paper on the outside or the inside. So the actual bottom size of the box would be 4.5 by 5 3/4. That'll be the size of your box. Now for the top of the box, it's the same type of scoring, only you're going to have different measurements. So remember what I said is don't look at the measurements, not necessarily the size. So because I wanted to do this on one sheet of paper. So in the bottom, or I'm sorry, the top, we need this to be a little bit larger than the bottom. So I usually compensate for about 1/8 inch larger on my measurements. So what I did on here for the top, I took one sheet of paper and made it 7 5/8 by 8 7/8, and this is going to be a 1-inch side. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to score at 1/2 inch all the way around this. Then we're going to come back and we are going to score at 1.5 inches. So see, this is 1 inch here. So 1 plus this is 1.5. So this is really 1.5 score. So then you're going to score all the way around here at 1.5 inch. So that this whole thing is 1.5 inch. But remember what we talked about on the bottom? We are going to end up gluing this top piece into the inside of this side, and that will give us a stronger base as well. So going ahead with that, again, you can miter along these edges to make that so it doesn't go into the corner, and you can also take these pieces, your flaps, and if you want to make them a little bit more narrow, you can miter into there. And I'm showing you and putting a little bit more in here. You don't even have to make it quite that wide, and they don't have to be perfect. So, but that just helps to not give too much cardstock or anything showing up over the side. So once you've got that done and glued all the way around, you then have the top of your box. And before I glue the last piece on this, I put the top onto the box to make sure that it is loose enough. And if it's not loose enough, then I can adjust at that point. I can maybe leave one of these sides out a little bit further. And then covering with the pattern paper on the sides, the tops or bottoms, that's really up to you. I'm not sure whether you're going to do 1/8 inch shorter or 1/4 inch. I typically do 1/8 inch shorter. So if I was going to mat this 1 inch side, I would cut my paper at 7/8 inch, you know, all the way around for all those sides. And then on the bottom of that box, this is a 1.5 inch size. So in order to cut that 1/8 inch smaller, I would cut my matting at 1 3/8 would be my matting for all of these going around, and just measure your sides. So this is the pattern for making that box. And you know, the best thing to do is, I'm going to leave this right here, take a snapshot of that, and remember, go by the measurements, not necessarily what it looks like. And then here is the top. Take a picture of that, and that'll be your template for this box. For the inside of this box, I did this shaker on the top with the acetate on the inside. I cut this about a 4 by 4. Next time when I do this, I would not cut it like this. What I would do is I would cut it at 1/2 inch all the way around the box and not make it this shape. But I would, because if I did that, it would help me with making my corners into more of a picture corner or a frame around that center. Doing it this way, I had to do these pieces more straight, and I would have liked it a lot better if I could have done it more in a frame style. So if you do the shaker top, I would make these on 1/2 inch all the way around, and then fit my picture behind it or paper behind it. So this is my little box. I hope you like it, and I hope you get a chance to make it and put some cards in it and share it with a friend. That would be great. Thanks so much, everybody. I really appreciate you spending the time with me, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.